back here again, and they're still putting water on this fire. It's a pretty large building. Again, there are 16 units in it. And the most important thing is that everyone made it out safely. We have yet to be able to touch base solidly with fire.
This double shooting claimed the life of a teenage girl. Tonight, another teenager is in critical condition. Investigators tell us the two were sitting on their front porch, and witnesses tell me the deceased was pregnant.
And now you're taking a look at the charred ground over by the riverbed. Firefighters saying things could have been a lot worse here today, given the time of the afternoon, again around 3 p.m. when this happened, and the popularity.
I'll take a step out here. You can see that the cleanup effort here is continuing at Dewey Square. It will be continuing for many hours with city sanitation workers, but this all began around 4.
Jackie, it took a long time to get this fire under control. Check it out here on Chestnut Hill Avenue. In fact, there are still pockets burning inside the building at this hour. They are now waiting for a crane to arrive to knock it down so the gas to the building can be shut off. The blaze broke out shortly after 6 o'clock this morning in a pizza shop, spreading quickly to 3 other businesses and this one-story commercial building along Chestnut Hill Avenue.
It's horrible, but it's good that there's a fire station directly across the street, I guess.
The fire generated large plumes of smoke that moved quickly to 4 alarms as more than 100 firefighters battled the wind-driven inferno. Authorities say much of the smoke was caused by chemicals burning in a janitorial supply company. The other storefronts housed a laundromat and catering company. There was a large explosion when firefighters first arrived at the building.
We're not sure if it was a gas fuel-fed fire. That remains to be seen, but every time we tried to make headway on it, it seemed to flare up again, so that was a problem.
Frigid temperatures created less than ideal conditions. Firefighters were pulled out of the building at one point because of fears it might collapse.
The fire was up in the roof and the ceiling, and it literally just rolled from right to left.
Water filled up nearby parking lots. Sand was dumped in front of this housing complex behind the building to keep the water from getting inside. By early afternoon, the blaze was under control, and when the smoke cleared, ice could be seen covering everything.
We're just concerned about the flooding from that, but nothing more we can do. It's what it is.
We are back live along Chestnut Hill Avenue now. They have been out here for almost 6 hours working this fire. 4 firefighters were injured as a result of fighting this blaze. They suffered minor injuries and have been released from the hospital.
Today was warm, so you want to hang out, so I said sure, why not? Just hurry up and come back. So when I get the news, I was just totally shocked. I couldn't really believe it.
For Lamar Thompson's father, the tragic reality has only begun to set in.
If I could find a way to regret not him going to the beach, it would be better.
His only son, just 18 years old, drowned Sunday afternoon. He had gone to the public landing in Quincy, Massachusetts with friends. Police say he jumped off this popular pier, ran into Trumbull, and never resurfaced. The search to find him, frantic.
He didn't know how to swim, and he jumped in, and then he sank under. He doesn't want it. There's people looking for him, but I don't know where he is.
Mark Thompson petitioned to bring his son to the United States from Jamaica a year ago. He had hoped to give him better opportunities.
He was a great kid, going to school, doing his job, and trying to get that high school diploma, because that's what he wants. And I say, yeah, that's a good achievement. You need to get it.
Throughout the day and into the evening, friends stopped by to remember the popular junior at Quincy High School.
I never thought that would happen to a kid like that, especially such a nice kid. He doesn't deserve it.
A young man with so much promise, who left his father and his family with such a gaping hole.
They asked him why he did this to me, why you have to make me suffer like this. And you thought that your kids will be here to bury you, but you have to be there to bury them.
There are hundreds of people at this pier right now paying respects to this young man.
For a lifelong Red Sox fan like Bill Hogan Jr., celebrating your 100th birthday at Fenway Park is about as good as it gets.
My father had me in this park. Well, I couldn't have been over 6, 8, and 9 years old.
But never in 100 years did the former Cambridge and Belmont native think he'd ever get to do this.
All right, Bill, let's see a pitch.
A pitch seen by thousands of fellow Sox fans, but none more important to Bill than the dozens of family members who cheered him on.
It's been great leadership. I guess that's what what I could say about him and the way that he lived his life.
Bill's worked hard to get to this day. His personal trainer says he sees him at least 3 days a week to work out.
I found out the truth of an old adage that I remember reading. When the athletes slow down, the first thing that goes on them is their legs.
Bill Hogan III says Red Sox memories with his dad transcend their family.
He took me, we ended up somehow going into the dugout and sitting down, and Ted Williams came out and sat down next to me. I was about 10 years old, and we had a little talk.
Saturday was Bill's day to take to the immortal Fenway Mound, a perfect pitch 100 years in the making.
He's the perfect representative of Red Sox Nation over a long period of time because he's a true fan.
I'm very fortunate. But I'm lucky. It's part of a very satisfying life, I think.
2-year-old Brianna Dollar of NECN, New York, loves the water. That's why her mom is letting her go in the ocean in Rye, New Hampshire, despite a recent shark sighting here.
Honest to God, if there was a shark out there, she would be swimming after that shark.
On Monday, a beachgoer spotted the shark at Wallace Sands Beach and alerted lifeguards. One of the lifeguards also saw the shark, but so far there's no word on what kind it was. One of the harmless types or the potentially deadly great white shark, which has been frequently seen close to the Cape Cod shore the past few summers. Dana Richardson is the paddle boater in this picture that was snapped on Nauset Beach in Orleans, Mass. On Saturday. He was the one who alerted the kayaker to the shark just feet behind him.
He looks over at me and I point my paddle behind him, and that's when the picture was taken. He looks behind him and kind of goes ghost white, and then just takes off paddling towards shore.
Experts say it's possible a great white could be off the New Hampshire coast, but not probable.
At this time of year in New Hampshire, by far the most common shark is a species called the blue shark, and that's an animal that's typically 6 to 8 feet long, around a couple 200 to 300 pounds, and is exclusively a fish eater.
These novice surfers from Montreal hadn't heard about the shark sighting before coming to the beach, but they didn't let it stop them from going in the water.
Well, my biggest fear was the sharks, and everyone told me there wasn't.
Well, I assume that there's always going to be sharks, so I'm not really bothered by it. It's just an interesting fact to know as I'm entering the water.
Those ladies aren't the only ones going in. As you can see, quite a few people have ventured into the water, but we've been noticing they aren't going out very far from shore. And they also tell us, the folks who have gone in, that they are keeping an eye out.
It had been repeatedly delayed by engineering issues for nearly 4 years, so when the 787 Dreamliner made its first landing in Boston Sunday morning, it was a dream come true for Logan Airport.
This size aircraft and the efficiencies that are up, it just puts us in a whole different arena now.
Japan Airlines will fly the Dreamliner Boston to Tokyo starting next month, and with its unique combination of size, range, and fuel efficiency, Massport's Ed Frenny says this 250-seater could open up all kinds of international destinations for nonstop service from Boston for the first time ever.
Shanghai, Beijing, Singapore, those are likely destinations in the next few years once this 787, gets into the fleets of the other airlines.
Built substantially from carbon fiber, not metal, it's 20% more fuel efficient than today's fleet and cutting edge. From fighter jet heads-up displays for pilots in the cockpit all the way back to dozens of hues of inside lighting.
Now, for those who aren't aviation nuts, what may be most noticeable about the 787 is how much more comfortable it is in all sorts of ways. Like these windows that are much bigger than normal, they electronically darken and lighten rather than just having a shade. And then check this out. It's an overhead luggage bin that can fit more than 4 rollaways in it. And then take a look at this. I'm 6'2". For the first time in my life, I'm comfortable standing up inside an airplane.
The things you can't see but you really feel are higher humidification, lower cabin altitude pressure, cleaner air, and those are things that just make you feel better. You get off and you feel great.
April 22 is the first day of service from Logan to Narita Airport in Tokyo, initially 4 days a week, growing to 7 days a week in June.